Hello, friends. I apologize because this part is short, but I did not have free time and I want to thank everyone for supporting the channel, especially these friends. When Ryu was heading to Minjuri's place, a new mission from the system appeared. It was about taking down the mid-boss of this round, the Orc Warrior. Then Ryu said to himself, since it's conveniently on the way, better handle it first, and he quickened his steps to complete this task. On the other side, there was a group of players in one of the orc groves. They were hiding after fighting some orcs and killing them. They were waiting for the right opportunity to escape from the orc village. Then one player of them moved stealthily. The village was quiet. He wondered why all the orcs had vanished and said to himself, "It's so silent. Where did orcs all go?" Suddenly, an unfamiliar smell reached his nose, and he said, "What's that smell?" Then he approached a sight in the distance, and he involuntarily uttered, "Huh, what in the world?" before quickly stifling his reaction. In front of him was a scene beyond imagination. The corpses of about 200 orcs were spread across the village. Amidst the carnage, a single figure stood alone with the title Black Scythe above his head. The player said to himself, "Venturing straight into the orc stronghold? That's a recipe for madness." But he was right about that, because when that stronghold is big and comes with guard towers, you're edging further into the realm of lunacy. Especially when danger is perceived, the orc patrols respond by blowing their horns, rallying their comrades. And if over 50 orcs heed that call, players will find themselves left with no choice but to tread the path toward the afterlife. But this applies mainly to regular players, as Ryu Min had a different perspective, because he thinks there is no need to tediously troll through each house for orcs, as blowing that horn turned out to be quite beneficial for him, as they will gather in one place and come to him, and at that time, about 200 carcasses lay strewn across the ground. No matter how fiercely the orcs charged, they couldn't breach the level 30 barrier. Then Ryu said to himself, handling orcs easily starts around level 20. Beyond level 30, these creatures aren't much different from goblins, for me at least. In essence, it meant that the challenge was formidable for players currently hovering around level 10. Hence, round 5 poses a considerable challenge. Monsters' levels are high and quantity poses another hurdle. Then Ryu Min's gaze caught onto a certain individual, and he said to himself, "Is this the guy who was being attacked by the orcs inside?" Drawing closer, Ryu couldn't help but feel astonished, and said to himself, "Jo Yong-ho, could this guy be the renowned Mercenary King?" Then Ryu said to himself, "The man standing before me is Jo Yong-ho, the sole bearer of the unique Mercenary King job. And encountering a Mercenary King in a setting like this was beyond imagination." And while Ryu was hiding his surprise, he looked at Jo Young. But suddenly, Jo Young said, "Black Scythe, oh no way." Ryu said, "Do you know me?" Jo Young said with a smile, "Everyone knows you. Is there anyone who doesn't know the #1 Black Scythe?" Then he glanced at Ryu and said to himself, "I never thought I'd meet the #1 in the entire district here. Would he hate it if I suddenly reached out for a handshake?" When Ryu Min read his thoughts, he felt in him a sense of admiration for the strong, and Ryu said to himself, "He doesn't strike me as someone who would stab you in the back. That's why he was able to get the job called Mercenary King. I may be unfamiliar with him, but he doesn't come across as a bad sort." Ryu only knew his name, and this was Ryu Min's first encounter with the Mercenary King. Due to Ryu Min's preference for solo play, there hadn't been opportunities to cross paths. In addition to, he didn't require assistance from mercenaries. And according to gossip, he once managed to survive beyond round 10 after that. Whether he lived or perished, Ryu Min remained uncertain. Then Jo Young said, Those orcs over there, did Black Scythe take them all down?" Ryu nodded in response to Jo Young's query. Jo Young said, "Wow, that's genuinely impressive, as expected from the #1 ranked class." And he continued saying, "I appreciate it. Thanks to you diverting the orcs' attention, I managed to come out alive." Ryu said, "I didn't even know you were here." Despite that, Jo Young insisted on thanking Ryu and said, "That's right, it wasn't intentional." Still, I received help, didn't I? When Ryo read his thoughts, he felt genuine gratitude from him. Then Ryu said, "Understood. Once you're done here, gather your comrades and leave quickly. Don't worry, I've taken care of all the orcs," Zhou Yong said in amazement. "Is that so? But how did you know that I have comrades?" Ryu Min pointed to Zhou Yong's back. When Zhou Yong turned around, surprise swept over his face. It was because his companions, who had been hiding, now stood there, and he said, "Why did you guys come out? I told you to wait." They said, "We were worried you'd leave us behind, Hyung-nim." "Heh." He replied, "You're joking even now, as if I'd leave you guys behind." Then one of them said, when he looked around, "What's going on? Why are there so many dead orcs? Did Hyung-nim hide his strength all this time?" Zhou Yong said, "Guys, seriously? Joking at a time like this?" Then he looked at Ryu. Only now did the mercenaries notice Ryu Min's presence, and they were taken aback, and said, "Whoa! Black Scythe? What's going on?" Rao replied, "What's this about? Just came for a bit of hunting." They responded with awkward laughter to Rao Min's casual response. "Ha ha ha, right. You've already taken down around 200. They didn't harbor any negative feelings toward Black Scythe, but they were simply in awe of encountering the strongest of the strong. Then one said, "By the way, we watched that death match too. You finished things in the blink of an eye, huh?" But Ryu Min's tone intentionally turned cold, and he said, "Let's skip the chit-chat. If you're done here, leave," because he was being cautious, not wanting to put them in unnecessary danger. As once the orcs are eliminated, the mid-boss should be appearing soon. After that, Zhou Yong's group offered a nod of farewell and turned away. Thinking the threat was over, they walked leisurely, engaging in light-hearted conversation. Just as Ryu Min was about to tell them to leave quickly, they heard the ground trembling. And they said, "What's that sound?" Ryu replied, "The mid-boss. Be ready." Then the orc warrior appeared. It was huge compared to the other orcs. As everyone stared, mouths agape, Ryu Min remained unfazed. In fact, Ryu had been anticipating this moment. After all, he needed to defeat it to obtain the Balance Stone, a sub-quest item. But it's not just this one. Defeating each bastion boss will yield the remaining stones. And completing the sub-quest meant taking down all 4 bosses. It wasn't an easy feat to say the least. As evident, these bosses were no ordinary orcs. That's why Ryu has been somewhat at ease. Even with numerous players, defeating the bosses requires more strength than numbers. And the reason Ryu Min died 4 times in the 5th round was tied to this. Then Ryu said to himself, of course it wasn't pointless. Without the balance rune, I wouldn't be this strong. Because the balance rune was remarkably powerful, completing a subquest was a necessity to acquire it, and at least an orc warrior can be dealt with even without Minjuri's buffs. After that, the orc warrior, observing its fallen kin, seethed with anger, and the orc warrior's eyes darted around, seeking the prey that slaughtered its kin. And it did not take much time, and his focus quickly settled on the target. The orc warrior's primary target was Zhou Yong. Then the orc warrior charged ahead. At this moment, Zhou Yong was startled, but before he could react, the massive blade descended toward his head, and a shockwave rippled as the blade struck the ground. But luckily, in the nick of time, Ryu Min pushed Zhou Yong aside with his staff. Zhou Yong breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Thank you, Black Scythe Nim." If Ryu hadn't intervened, he would have met a grim fate. Then Ryu said to Zhou Yong, "Step back, unless you want to be flattened." And Zhou Yong promptly complied with Ryu Min's advice. After that, Ryu Min's scythe struck the orc warrior's foot, contorting its face in pain. The orc felt both agony and fury. It swung its axe at Ryu Min, and the sounds of slicing air and impacts echoed. But that was it. But Ryu Min narrowly evaded every strike, not incredibly swift, yet not sluggish enough to evade. Then Ryu said, "What's the point of strong damage if you can't land a hit?" Enough with the grunting. After that, Ryu Min leaped like a crescent moon, striking his scythe down. But the orc's sturdy neck prevented instant death, prompting Ryu Min to strike repeatedly. Then the orc warrior's head, separated by the scythe, plummeted to the ground. At that moment, Jo Yong-ho and his companions gazed at Ryu-min with awe and said, "He already killed it? Even that scary monster?" But Ryu-min's attention was elsewhere, and this is because messages detailing rewards were appearing incessantly. This part ends here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me financially, and wait for the next part, which will be longer.